What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday, January 13th. Wednesday. Yay! We're about halfway through. That's good. I like that. Halfway through the weekend. I don't know if you have good plans, but I don't. Well, hey, anyway, if you're watching this, that means you couldn't make it to class today, and that is okay. I hope you're doing great. I really, really do. I hope everything's fine. I hope this finds you healthy, happy, warm, and doing something relaxing. I hope your family is well. I hope those around you are well. I hope everyone who's important to you is doing well. So here's the deal with today. I'm going to run you guys through everything that we covered today in class, give you a little laser kitty to watch while we're doing things. And please don't forget to reach out to me if you have any questions, anything you want to know, anything you need to know, anything you're confused about, can't find a link, can't find an assignment. That's what I'm here for. I want to help. All right. So please make sure and reach out if you need me. Okay. So as I said, today is Wednesday, January 13th, and some quick reminders. First of all, Friday's a deadline for late work, and so please make sure you get me any of that as I put on the slide. Tick tock, the clock's a ticking. To remember that I do have a little bit of flexibility in there, but if you need more time, you're going to have to reach out and contact me. Okay, that's going to be a responsibility thing on your part. If you need more time, you have to ask. You have to learn to advocate for yourself, and so I'm going to ask that you do that. The last grade that's going to go in the grade book for the quarter is going to be our test on this unit, which is going to be Friday. We have a few slides to look at today, a few slides to look at tomorrow, and then Friday is going to be test day. Okay, so again, give me that work. And if there's anything that you did that you want to resubmit, you want to take feedback and resubmit for a better grade, that is always cool. So please make sure that you do that. Okay. So today's goals, I want you to be able to explain like the territory that we added and why we added it, and then discuss some of the conflict type things that started to happen during the age of imperialism. And again, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm here. I'll answer. You can message me at 7 p.m. I'll get back to you. Okay. All right. So some early steps and one quick reminder thing. I've got an extra bullet point in there. Can we get rid of that? What are we doing here? What's going on? All right, it spaced things out a little bit, but that's okay. All right, so the Monroe Doctrine, we talked about a little bit the other day. The Monroe Doctrine said that no European nation could expand their territory in the Western Hemisphere. Now, it said that if they had territory, they could keep it. Okay, so if like England there's this country in South America called British Guiana at this time, or Guyana, I'm not sure exactly how you say it, and they're allowed to keep that. But if they spread out and try to take over the next country over, their territory, then they're adding more territory. And basically, even though the Monroe Doctrine was really vague or not clear about what we were going to do if someone took over territory, there was kind of this or else, I'm going to count to 3 type feeling of what might happen if somebody took over territory. Now, the thing to mention about this is that the Monroe Doctrine didn't say we couldn't take over more territory in the Western Hemisphere. All right, so a little hypocritical and probably written that way on purpose to be to our benefit. And so given everything that we've talked about so far, we've set up all the rules, we've set up where we were, where we're going, why we're going there yesterday. It's going to be important now to look at kind of what did we get. And so the first territorial claim that we make is a place called Midway Island. Midway Island is about halfway across the Pacific Ocean. So it's midway. It's a little bit further west and a little bit further north of Hawaii. Now, if you're not conceptualizing that, you can look it up on a map. It's not the end of the world if you don't know where Midway is. Midway is significant in America for a few reasons. First of all, it's a Navy base and a military base. And second of all, it was the home to a really, really, really big deal World War II battle. Not home. It was more of a Navy battle, but you get my drift. Okay. It was kind of like one of our big major victories after Pearl Harbor. But when the Navy was out in the Pacific Ocean, they see this island off in the distance and they're like, hey, is that on the map? I don't think that's on the map. And they looked at it and sure enough, it wasn't on the map. So they decided, they're like, drop anchor. We're gonna take the smaller boat over and we're gonna take a look. And they looked around and territory was rocky. There wasn't really much there to speak of. I mean, there's not pineapples, there's not resources, there's not much. But if you remember, one of our reasons to expand was coaling stations, military bases, and Midway Island fits that bill. And so we slapped an American flag on it and said, that's mine. And Midway Island became our first territorial claim. And so do we still own it? Yes, we do. And there's still a base there. And if you play video games online and there's a map which shows you where people are in the world, every once in a while a dot will pop up in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. That is a U.S. service person playing whatever game you're playing in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So we found it. Now, Japan's a little bit different story. We never actually take over Japan, but we take them as what we call a sphere of influence. A sphere of influence is a place that you don't own, but you have a lot of impact and a lot of say over what happens there. So Japan has a little bit of a different history. Around 1600, the Emperor of Japan decided that Japanese people were the best people in the world. Maybe a little early social Darwinism. And because of that, he decided he did not want Japanese blood to mix with the blood of foreigners. And so he closed the country. There was a little bit of trade with a few countries, but for the most part, nobody got in, nobody gets out. If you left the island, you weren't allowed to come back. And if you were a foreigner and you showed up on the island, they killed you. And so from 1600 to about 1853, time more or less stood still. The world goes on. The world invents a lot of things. Guns become more common. Gunpowder becomes more common. Trains and all those things. Meanwhile, the Japanese are being protected by samurai. The sword, the katana, super sharp, bows and arrows, crossbows, stuff like that. Systems of honor, very traditional ways, worship the emperor, worship the sun god, all those different kinds of ideas. Well, then in 1853, the president at the time, a guy named Millard Fillmore, decided that it would be really great if we could become Japan's BFF. And so he sends a commodore, head of a group of boats, with a bunch of steel, coal-burning gunships to Japan with a letter that more or less says, we want to be your super BFF. We want to trade with you and no one else can. We want to be able to come to your island and no one else can. And we kind of intimidated them into agreeing with us. Now, how was that taken by Japan? I don't think they were super happy about it, but I don't think they had a real big choice in things. And so we carved out a sphere of influence. We claim Midway Island. We scare the crap out of Japan. That's the best way I can put it. Okay. The next slide. Two more places you're more familiar with. Then things start to get easy. Okay. We're looking to expand our influence in the Pacific Ocean and get resources and get Navy bases and add territory. Well, it just so happened that Russia was looking to sell this place they called Russian America or Alaska. And if you take a look at that map down below, you can see how big Alaska is compared to the rest of the United States. Sometimes you don't have perspective. People think Texas is the biggest state. No, heck no. Alaska is huge, okay? And you can see it in that map down below right here with the green. Alaska's big. And so we make the decision to purchase Alaska for $12 million. It's about 2 cents an acre. It's a great land deal if you know anything about real estate. Okay, 2 cents an acre, we buy it. Now, at first, some Americans are hesitant. They're critical. They're like, oh, it's just frozen. Nothing but penguins there. As a matter of fact, the only penguins in Alaska are ones that are in zoos. Okay, the penguins don't live there. Nobody can live there. There's nothing there. Why would we want that? That's a stupid expenditure of $12 million because $12 million is a lot of money back then. God, why did we do this? And it turns out, obviously, Alaska has been a huge deal for us. It's a huge amount of territory. People do live there. There was a gold rush there. There's oil there. There's timber there. There's been like they have almost everything. Okay, they're not growing pineapples. So we've talked a lot about pineapples in this chapter. My fault. I like pineapples. Okay, but adding Alaska added a lot of territory. So again, we find Midway Island. We scare Japan. We buy Alaska. Last but not least in this category of we added it is Hawaii. Now, Hawaii is unique in how we do things. Hawaii was one of those places that our whaling boats stopped and had an uncivilized but very kind and very safe society. So word got back to missionaries, church people, about this great island, beautiful weather, beautiful food, great people, but they didn't follow like our customary traditions when it came to religion. And so missionaries started going there and converting people to Christianity. And the Hawaiians were actually pretty receptive to this. Their king, a guy, I don't know if I'm saying this right. I'm going to go with Kamehameha. Kamehameha was very much into this. He liked Christianity. He liked the Americans. He thought they were pretty cool. And so Hawaii started to trade with the United States, pineapples, bananas, sugar cane, which can be turned into sugar, which we all love. And eventually Kamehameha was like, I really like these Americans. We should model our government. I want to be like the king president, but we need a constitution. And so the Americans helped the king write a constitution, but that constitution was very pro-Americans on Hawaii. And so after a little while, those missionaries decided to stay. Everyone was converted, and they decided to run plantations. Now, not slavery, they paid the Hawaiians, but they ran pineapple plantations and sugar plantations and bananas and tropical fruits. And they sent that stuff back to the United States, and they became rich. Well, Kamehameha died. Natural causes. And when Kamehameha died, he didn't have a son. His daughter took over, and she became Queen Liliuokalani. I like that one. Say it along with me. Liliuokalani. There you go. Name your first kid Liliuokalani. All right. Liliuokalani wasn't as pro-American. She thought Hawaii should be for Hawaiians first. And so she tried to take back power. Well, the Americans didn't like that. And so there was we'll call it a peaceful overthrow. You don't need to know more than that. Let's just say it doesn't look good. The Americans that are on the island claim they're being threatened by Hawaiians. The Americans send in a boat full of Navy and Marine personnel. The Navy and Marine personnel go, nothing's going on here. But when the Hawaiians saw the boat, they were intimidated, and Liliuokalani fled the country, and the Americans seized control. The Americans on the island seized control. When they asked to be annexed or added to the United States, at first the United States was like, no, you stole the country, you should probably give it back. You carjacked a country. All right, if this is GTA, you stole someone's car. All right, you should give it back. Well, the Americans were like, no. The Americans elected a president of Hawaii. It just happened to be a guy named Sanford Dole. Now think about that last name, Dole, D-O-L-E. Where have you heard that name before? Dole pineapples, Dole bananas, Dole fruits. This guy becomes rich beyond imagination, selling the fruits of an island that he stole. And eventually the United States annexes or added the territory. It becomes a territory, and eventually it becomes a state. And so how did we get Midway Island? We found it. How did we get, oh my God, I'm blanking right now. Oh, how did we get semi-control of Japan? We scared them. How did we get Alaska? We bought it. How did we get Hawaii? We stole it. Okay, it's that simple. We stole it, okay? Last slide. I want to talk about a couple things happening in our part of the world that aren't us taking over territory. And this is two examples where we prove that we are the big dog in our part of the world, and that the rest of our part of the world are little dogs, and they're going to do what we tell them to do. The first example is this thing called the Pan American Conference. We invited the major leaders of all the countries of North and South America to come to Washington, D.C. for a meeting. And at that meeting, we kind of established our dominance. We let those countries know that we were in charge. We let those countries know that we wanted to be able to trade in their countries without them putting a tariff on our stuff. We wanted them to know that we had the best military, and we showed them our stuff. Those countries walked away a little bitter at us, but they also walked away understanding that there wasn't a lot that they could do. Okay, there's a lot more to the Pan American Conference in this, but the biggest thing I want you to take away from this is it's us kind of showing these guys, look, we're in charge. We still have this meeting every year. This is actually the first time this ever happened, but we still have these meetings every year where our president gets together with the leaders of most of the major Western countries of North and South America. We talk things out. We still obviously play a pretty dominant role in those things. The second problem is the Chilean crisis. Now, the Chilean crisis is weird. Okay. There had been a civil war in Chile, where people inside a country are fighting against each other. It was people who liked the president against people who didn't like the president. Well, we decided to get involved, and we gave money and weapons to the group that didn't like the president. They lost. The side we backed lost. And so the Chilean president and the people of Chile that liked him hated us. Like, they hated us a lot. And there was a lot of tension between our two countries. Fast forward ahead a couple years. You have an American Navy boat off the coast of Chile, and they're going to give the sailors that are on the boat a weekend pass to go relax, enjoy themselves. They've been on a boat for like 3-6 months, something like that. Go, have a weekend, burn off some steam. So they're going to get drunk, and they're going to look for women, okay? In a town called Valparaiso, a handful of American soldiers are in a bar, and one of the American sailors is dancing with a Chilean woman. And they're drinking and they're dancing and they're drinking and they're dancing. And Then the Chilean girl's boyfriend walks in. Obviously, you can tell this goes south pretty fast, and a fight breaks out. And it's the contents of the bar against the American soldiers. And when it spills out into the street, more Chilean people get involved. 2 American sailors are killed, a few are injured. The United States contacts Chile and says, listen, we consider this to be an act of war. If you don't apologize and make amends for this, we're going to go to war with you. The president of Chile goes, dude, it was a bar fight. You're not going to go to war with us over a bar fight. Well, the American president goes, listen, if you're not going to take this seriously, we're fueling up the ships and getting ready to send them. The Chilean president goes, whoa, pump the brakes. You're serious about this. He's like, yeah, we are literally loading Marines on Navy boats right now. We are going to send them down. We're loading the Army. We're going to send them down. We're going to send down the full strength of the American military. You have created an act of war against us. You killed American soldiers. The president of Chile goes, whoa, we're sorry. We'll write an official thing. We'll make payments to the families of the soldiers that were injured and the ones that were killed. We'll make a public apology. You win. You're awesome. We're puny. There you go. And so if you take anything away from these two things, it's that in our part of the world, yes, we play the role of leader. I don't mean to make it sound totally negative. We have helped out a lot of the countries, but we're also considered or viewed by some of these countries as kind of a bully in a way, fair or not fair. I'm not saying it's always fair, but especially the Chilean crisis, I don't know how you can. I mean, yeah, they killed American sailors, so I'm not gonna fight that one too hard. So tomorrow we're gonna finish up what's left of the chapter. Friday is test day. Deadline is Friday. Questions asked. Need an extension? Let me know. Get stuff done. Finish the quarter strong.